And George with Chris Billam-Smith. Chris, first of all, how have you enjoyed your time since Richard Riakporhe fight? I've seen you've been over in America to watch Terence Crawford fight. You enjoyed some downtime?
Yeah, it's been a really good summer, to be honest with you. Obviously, my summer started on June 16th, a day after the fight, and eating some good food, and then then got the chance to been to Stag Do the week after, a wedding. Got another wedding next week, and then a 3.5 week holiday to California with the family. So that was, memories that will last a lifetime. So really, really special summer.
I saw you were literally the morning after the fight in Sohurst. You were with Richard Riakporhe at the breakfast. You know, without obviously sharing stuff that you don't want to share, what were those kind of conversations like? Respect there between the two of you, obviously?
Yeah, huge amount of respect. There was before the fight, we shared 10 rounds together. 10 brutal rounds, years before. But yeah, it was all respect. I just said I think he needs activity and just to stay busy and go straight back into a biggish fight, not just someone he's going to knock over, because he's got the power to obviously always do that. But and that was kind of my only advice. But I wish him all the best.
It was a great night. I remember just kind of whilst we were waiting for you to finish all your media kind of obligations in the middle of kind of ringside, we were sat kind of waiting in the corner where in Crystal Palace's tunnel's kind of in the corner, and we were just kind of waiting for you to come, and there was a bunch of supporters of yours just kind of stood there just going, "Oh, we want our champion," just like singing stuff like that and singing your name. And they had to, I think it just carried on, they had to be moved eventually, but just hearing the support on the night and through the fight as well, there you could hear very loudly supporters of yourself. Was that really, it felt like a home crowd away from home?
Yeah, I mean, on my ring walk I obviously stood facing that wall of fans that he had, and they're all booing me, and I was just staring at them all like, give it an hour, you'll all be...
There was a Bournemouth flag in there. I don't know if you saw it. There was a Bournemouth flag in there.
I didn't, unfortunately. There was a couple cheering, I know that, but very much getting booed. But I was like, I'm sorry, you're going to be upset in an hour's time. So, it was... but then through the fight, you could start hearing everyone, all my lot just making noise, and the home fans pretty silent, which was sort of the task on the night, really. So, meant I was doing my job properly.
Was it pretty bizarre as well, just how wet and cold and it felt outdoors and quite miserable weather kind of through the day? Were you stressed at any point that the rain might kind of ruin some plans?
No, I mean, I made sure that we had the shoe covers, which I ruined the look on the ring walk. The bright blue covers didn't quite go with the absolute warrior outfit that I had on. But it was, so we were prepared. We knew it would be wet. Obviously, there's a canopy over the ring, and I know a few people at ringside, got wet earlier on, but there was no rain during.
We did.
So I was. It doesn't matter what happens. It could be snowing, and I could be fighting in the snow, and I'd have to get on with the job. So that's how on fight night, nothing gets in the way.
Let's talk about it then. We've seen the news that Turki Al-Sheikh announced that you're going to be fighting Zurdo Ramirez on this Latinos night in Saudi Arabia. It looks like it's pretty much there, but from what you tell us, not quite done just yet.
Yeah, just a few minor stuff to sort. It's a fight I'm really excited for, and one I want. So I'm keen to get this situation, over the line as quick as possible and start being able to properly talk about the fight. I'm always one to never want to talk about stuff until I've signed and sealed. So. It's a really exciting opportunity for me.
I did notice you hadn't posted anything yet, so we're just kind of holding fire if people want to buy tickets, book flights and stuff like that, not just yet at the moment. But from your point of view, does it feel nice to kind of finally be, if you weren't already arriving at that top table, this new kind of Saudi events, with boxing, is it nice to finally be on an event headlining yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to headlining events over here, big events at the stadium. So to me, that's huge as well. So I'm just glad it's a unification, and that's what matters to me. Is I wanted to unify. Obviously, growing up, I watched a lot of fights in Vegas, so I called for Vegas. But we might be getting the right fight in the place that in a different place. So it's what the hand we're dealt, and I'm excited about going over there. I've never been to the Middle East, so it's a completely new place, a new destination to tick off. And yeah, it's most importantly, it's a great fight against another world champion, and I think the last Brit to unify any cruiserweight belts was David Haye. So someone I looked up to massively, from a fighting style and watching his career, how he dismantled his opponents and stuff. So be an honour to be a British unified world champion.
Talk to me about Zurdo in particular. He's been a super middleweight for a long time. He moved up to 175. He fought Dimitri Bivol, which was the only defeat of his career. I think he's fought 47 times, and he's 1 year younger than you, which is a bit bizarre. But it's part of the culture over there in Mexico, of course. But talk to me about Zurdo in particular, his fighting style, what you make of him.
Yeah, I mean, fighting style, his name's Zurdo, which means southpaw. So he's a southpaw. And that brings its own problems. I'm not that experienced with southpaws in terms of fights and stuff like that. I'm confident in fighting them, but experience is something which I'm going to have to gain on the night. And he brings lots of different attributes. He's super, super tough, as you saw his last fight with Gilberto, who's a massively heavy-handed guy. Just shook all the shots off that he got hit with there. Throws a huge, because he's come up through the weights, he's got a really good punch output. So he throws a lot of shots. I don't know how he ever made to middleweight, or I mean, to be honest, even light heavy, he's 6'2.5", I think. So he's not much smaller than me, and he's got a big old head on him, which is probably why I can take a decent shot. But he's a big bloke, and like I said, brings lots of great attributes, and that's why he's world champion.
We've seen fighters move up through the weight divisions and have massive success with it in their own respects. But do you see that as an advantage? You've been at cruiserweight 200 pounds for many more times than he has. I think even the two kind of cruiserweight bouts he's had, one he kind of weighed in about 190. The last one was at about the 200 mark. Do you see that as an advantage of any such, that you've been there and done it at that weight more times?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say it's more of an advantage being more settled at the weight, but he's got his own advantages because he comes up, his punch output's good, his speed will be good. He's used to quicker guys, so my advantage of being the quicker guy, which most of the time I am at cruiserweight, the speed of hand and foot is, it might be nullified more in this fight because he's used to speed because he's come up through the weights. But he's any advantages I have, he'll also have, his own advantages. So it makes it a really intriguing fight, and it's a massive challenge. But me and Shane already working on a game plan, working on certain punches and movements that are going to work. And I'm really excited. I think I know I showed a slightly different side to me in the last fight, but I think this time I'll be even more surprised by what people see.
We look forward to it. And just a couple more. I want to ask you that all the talk since the Riyadh fight has been about Jaya Pattaya, and wherever you look on any kind of post that's about you or you giving something, it's in my opinion, I think it's been a little bit unfair. A lot of people saying you've been ducking Pattaya. Maybe that's based off previous cruiserweight champions that have been under this promotion. But I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, do you feel maybe potentially that the way that Pattaya and maybe Eddie Hearn as well has gone about trying to get that fight done, the very public Pattaya saying on TV, there's £1 million. If he doesn't accept it, he's ducking the fight. Do you feel like that's it's been quite unfair the way they've gone about trying to call you out in a way? Yeah,
I would have boxed him if I said I'll be ready in November, so it could have been me against him in November, but he insisted on fighting in October. I insisted on fighting, being ready in November, December. So who's at fault? We're both at fault. Either he's at fault for not waiting a month, or I'm at fault for not bringing it a month early. But the reason I'm not at fault for bringing it a month early is because I'm not going to shorten my camp. Like I said, I was on holiday. I got back into camp, and the first full week back in camp, I would have had something like 6 or 7 weeks worth of training, and that's not how I go about my business. I'm not world champion because I have 6 or 7 week camps. It's because I dedicate myself the way I do and professional throughout. So I think that fight will happen. I think he's got a job to do, Jack Massey. I'll do do a number on Zurdo, and then that's the only fight I'll be looking at after doing a job with Zurdo.
We do look forward to it. It's really exciting in the cruiserweight division, and that Oppenheimer Massey matchup as well is something I'm looking forward to. Just finally, we're here tonight at Vitality Stadium to celebrate boxing in the South. How excited, this will come out after it's happened, but how proud are you of kind of the mark you've left on Bournemouth? We're just talking up there and you're getting quite emotional looking around the stadium. You've got really fond memories down here. Are you looking forward to kind of a night celebrating boxing in the South?
Yeah, I mean, I knew there's, the talent down here is growing. I've always known there's talent down here, and it's just half the time it's just belief because it's not been done before. But hopefully, now I've gone and done what I've done down here, then other people can realise that they can do it too. Because the talent's there, it's just half the time belief. Because like anything, unless you've seen it, you don't believe it. But now people have seen it, hopefully they believe it and they believe in themselves and can go and do more. I mean, across the coast, obviously in Southampton, Portsmouth, you've got some great fighters as well. Ryan Garner, you've got McKinson, obviously Lee down in Bournemouth as well. But hopefully those guys have got opportunities down here as well soon in terms of headlining their own shows and stuff like that. So it's exciting, and it's great to see boxing on the coast.